Hi, it's Gab, and I'm here reviewing Hitchcock, the new film about Alfred Hitchcock, specifically around when he is filming Psycho. And so it takes place before and during. It's about the process of him making Psycho, and also at the same time parallel in the story of what's going on behind the scenes in his marriage. His wife Alma was his longtime collaborator on all his films, and Psycho was no exception. And Psycho was a particular struggle for them in the sense that studios did not want it made. Paramount did not want to support this film, and so they financed it themselves, and it was a bit of a sort of a guerrilla production in that sense. And so the marriage was under stress, and for other reasons, as well as the production being under stress. So a lot of interesting things going on. Let me backtrack. Hitchcock is played by Anthony Hopkins really well, very believable physically, the voice, and presumably the way he acted, certainly on set, if not behind the scenes in his personal life. Although it was a very believable, enjoyable performance, I still was always aware this was Anthony Hopkins I was watching. So I wasn't completely lost in his portrayal, but very well done nonetheless. And the wife, Alma, is played by Helen Mirren, always wonderful, but again, very Helen Mirren-esque. Not knowing what Mrs. Hitchcock was really like, I can't make any comparison beyond that. The rest of the cast is quite interesting and well done, notably Scarlett Johansson as Janet Leigh, the famous shower victim in Psycho. And so I was really interested and very entertained by seeing what went on, presumably, if it's accurate or not. Again, I can't really comment, but very interesting, the behind-the-scenes stuff about getting the film made. As movies about movie making are usually interesting, certainly to film fans, and you can't get much more of a historical classic than Psycho. It was quite groundbreaking at the time. I was also interested about what was presumably shown to be going on in the marriage, although it was more domestic territory, and one could question whether it was really a necessary part of the story or added anything to the story. I definitely appreciated so much emphasis on the role of Hitchcock's wife in his films, and so I enjoyed that aspect, although I would probably say that in the end it would have been a more interesting, energetic film if it had focused more on the filmmaking side of the story. And certainly the domestic side veered into a bit of a territory, almost tried to have a suspenseful Hitchcockian tinge to what was going on domestically, a bit of intrigue, I suppose, that I don't think was quite pulled off. I could see where they were going with that, but it took away too much from what was really available to the story, the facts, the interesting parts of the film, making Psycho, and other historical aspects, I suppose, the context of movies in that era, the early 60s. You know, I'm torn in that I enjoyed seeing the different facets, but as a whole, I don't think it was quite entirely successful. Perhaps it was a bit of a weakness in the script, but still, as I say, just very enjoyable, entertaining, and interesting subject matter, and it carried it along the film quite well. The pace was good, the scenes well timed, and I was always enjoying to see what was going to happen next, pretty much, as I say, more so about the filmmaking side of the story, which I'd say is about maybe a bit more than 50% to 2/3 of the bulk of the material in the film. So if that's your main interest, and certainly if you're interested in that era of film and Hitchcock, you definitely should see this film. There's no question about that, and for some good performances. So I can recommend Hitchcock overall, although I hesitate to think that it's going to win or be in the contending for any kind of awards necessarily. Anything beyond that, as most people speak of this time of year, films coming out, and certainly biopic type of films, and if you got Hopkins and Mirren involved, it doesn't quite elevate to that level, but very interesting, entertaining, and as I say, if you're interested in the subject matter. For Gabs, I would give it 3 3/4 Gabs. That's Hitchcock. Thanks for watching.